Now, this isn't the hottest take that I've heard between Earth and all the way to Viltrum, but IGN super sucks. My asshole makes better reviews than IGN 9 out of 10 times. Sorry, 7 out of 10 times. But today, specifically, I want to talk about their finale review for Season 3 of... Everybody's entitled to their opinion, except IGN. So much I want to say about the review. A lot of people have been talking about it. The absolute despicable rating they gave the Season 3 finale of Invincible. And I will be talking about spoilers, obviously, and I'm going to talk about why they were just flat out wrong. No, was it a 11 out of 10 peak best animated episode I have ever seen? No, but it was pretty damn close. So just like Conquest did to Oliver, I'm gonna rip IGN a new one, and I don't even have anything smart ass to say, just because every word in this article made me lose an additional brain cell, and there wasn't even very many left, so that's saying something. Anyways, let's jump into it. Invincible Season 3 Episode 8 review. I thought you'd never shut up. In my case, I thought you'd never stop writing. An emotionally loaded season ends on Invincible's first outright bad episode. I'm just gonna go ahead and read the article for you guys, because either this is extreme rage bait or they actually just did not watch the episode or the show. So either way, I'm gonna read this and break it down for you guys. That way you don't have to give them the pleasure of rage clicking their links. The Season 3 finale drops the ball. No, the reviewer dropped the ball. They say it's narratively scattered and thematically incoherent. It is the first bad episode Invincible has ever had, one that draws on familiar sights and stories from the show and other superhero media, but presents them with little to nothing beneath the surface. Brother, what? Let's start with narratively scattered. So let's start with narratively scattered and thematically incoherent. The entire episode, again, this is a review for the finale, so I'm gonna keep the season kind of out of this argument that I'm trying to make. The narrative of this episode focused on one, maybe two plots, that being Mark or Invincible and Conquest, and then you had the Cecil stuff, the human, we can't do shit stuff. We see that when Debbie is crying, like, that's my son who's getting, like, he's going to die, and she is so distraught that she even, like, is like, Oliver, just be careful. Like, listen, your brother, be careful. Like, she's on her knees crying. This was built up throughout the entire season, since even Oliver was brought into this show. Again, I'm going to focus on this episode, but you cannot deny the prior context that led up to this moment. We had him go Insano style on the Mahler twins, and that whole fallout that happened. So there was prior contextualization of this theme of Mark now being the teacher, Mark being the older brother. So that already, that theme, they just wiped their ass with it, that being IGN. Secondly, we have the theme of Mark not killing. That's been a whole thing with superheroes, and it's, in fact, I would say this episode did the opposite of what this reviewer of IGN is claiming, that it does something so cliche where it's about no killing, no killing, no killing, and then Invincible learns this episode, no, sometimes you have to kill, sometimes letting the Joker go, and several times in a row, and then he goes off to kill more people. Maybe not your fault, you didn't kill those people, but you had every opportunity to make sure those people were not harmed. And Mark is realizing that. That's called character development. And it's kind of interesting that Mark is supposed to be playing this older brother role, yet it is his younger brother who helped him realize this. That is a really good theme. Sometimes adults learn from children, just like children learned from adults. And this whole narrative and theme of that, theme of growth, of being scared to protect your family, being scared of an unknown threat, being scared of the repercussions of your actions, which was also just set up 2 episodes prior with Powerplex. So that whole argument of it being narratively scattered and thematically incoherent, absolute just dog water. I mean, yes, I know I said I want to focus on this episode, not the prior episodes in the season, because it is a finale review, not a season review. However, finales wrap up a season, so now that I'm thinking about it, you can't really just ignore the rest of the episodes, because this is a conclusion to an arc. They say the arrival of Conquest and this dilemma of never, of not wanting to kill never arises. That has been the premise the entire season, of Mark telling and Debbie telling Oliver that he can't just kill. It was already there. Why would they put it in there again? This was to conclude that. This was to add to it, put a little bow on top to wrap up that part of this arc. And they're like, this is why I'm like very confident they just did not watch this season. They're not going to agonize over it for 40 minutes. If Mark himself has been agonizing over it for 2, maybe even 3 seasons, if you want to argue that he had that kind of dilemma in season 1, which really didn't. It was more so about finding himself, coming of age, trying to figure out what Invincible is to him. But definitely it was there in season 2, and it for sure absolutely 100% was there in season 3. They say we have never seen Conquest.
Population was cut in half, but what emerged from the ashes was unstoppable.
But soon, another will come. And if he finds you still resistant to your destiny, he will demonstrate the error of your ways, and this whole planet will pay the price.
You know who else we never saw? Negan. Coincidentally, Negan showed up in the finale of season 6 of The Walking Dead and fucked everybody up, audience and characters. But, you know, he was mentioned a few times throughout the show. Conquest was mentioned not once, but twice. They say Conquest is devoid of any real ideology, any real motivation, when they literally added a show original scene where he says he is a victim of his own success, where he is so strong that people fear him, which most likely drove him into this path of being Conquest. They gave him a purpose. He didn't even get a real name, as he literally says. The entire threat of Invincible has been Viltrum. Viltrum showed up! They say this time around, as compared to the Nolan fight, the Omni-Man fight in the season 1 finale, this particular fight didn't hold any weight. 2 things came out of this fight. Cecil, who I love as a character, making a really dumb decision to keep Conquest to learn more about Viltrum, which doesn't happen in season 1 because Nolan flies off. 2, Mark realizes he needs to kill next time his family is threatened. You know what Mark realized when his dad beat his ass and he left? My dad beat my ass and he left, and he's kind of evil. Here, we're seeing more development on that. Why are you gonna do the same thing? Obviously, you can't have that was a big moment for Mark. That was the first time he'd ever seen his dad like that. Like, his dad, what's another 18 years, right? Imagine that's one Viltrum who does that to your family, your closest, your family member who treats your mom like a pet. And then you have Conquest shows up, who doesn't have any emotional connection to yourself. He's like, I'm gonna kill your little brother, I'm gonna kill your family, I'm gonna kill everyone on this planet when I'm done with you. And that's what triggers Mark to go, I'm gonna kill next time my family is threatened. How is that not emotional weight? I don't understand. I don't get this logic here. They say Mark doesn't feel the emotional weight of every death, unlike the train scene in season 1. I'm assuming that's what they're alluding to, but when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. So I'm just gonna go based on the words they say. Invincible doing an encore of one of its greatest hits, which sounds like the train scene, so I'm going off their words. Well, no shit. That's part of his development. He already had that oh my god moment, that responsibility. He had that with the Invincible War. He tells Conquest, you show up at a bad time. He's going through so much right now. He's fighting for his dear life. He's not worried about the lives of so many innocent people right now, because Conquest is going to kill him. And if Mark dies, everyone else is going to die. So of course Mark is focused on himself, and all. Mark has so much going on in his head. You have to forget, he's a human being too. He's not going to be, oh my god, I just killed this random person. Oh my god, oh no, Conquest, how could you do this? Without Mark, everyone's dead. Mark is in survival mode. He's worried about himself first. As opposed to the stuff with Nolan, this is the first time he's ever seen anything like this before. Very big different scenario. Why would you want to have that same kind of emotional moment within a show when it already was so perfect and developed the character the way it needed to in the season 1 finale? This was a perfect continuation of that encore IGN speaks of. They say they find it hard to believe that Eve is actually going to die. I genuinely thought she was going to die in that scene. I was very just I was like Mark. I was shocked. I honestly thought she would, because when Mark starts screaming for Cecil, and I was like, oh, Cecil can just help her, her insides were like ripped out. I know Rex got shot in the head and all that, but people in real life, regular humans, get shot in the head all the time and survive. It wasn't that, I mean, yes, he did get his ass beat a lot more than that, but he is a superhero as well. You have to think about that. But Cecil didn't want to pull up. End of story, because there was nothing he could do. He could pull up, Conquest would just immediately take him out. We know how fast Conquest is. But they also mentioned that Eve heals herself thanks to a power-up rooted in actual magic, pretty much out of the blue.
You murdered my whole family!
It was not out of the blue. It was set up in the Adam Eve special. You did not watch the show. Mark wailing away on Conquest is therefore a purely physical act with no emotion behind it. He just watched his little brother almost get ripped in half. Then proceeds to watch the love of his life get Akazud. No emotional weight behind that. The Viltrumite is a complete stranger. Is that not more horrifying? How are you going to reason with a stranger as opposed to being your own dad? Look what happened when Mark didn't even have a chance to speak. He was so destroyed emotionally and physically. He literally could not speak, and his dad still flew off when he could have just ended Mark right then and there. This was a stranger. He doesn't care. He even said, "Oh, I can't wait to tell your dad I killed you." Like, that's horrifying, as not just for Mark, but as an audience member who doesn't know how this is going to play out. They say the invincible cyborgs just loom into the next season. It's to set up the next season, and doesn't really have much to do with this episode. You're telling me they're going to include something at the very end of a season finale to set up the next season without completely ruining the story that was previously set up, and that maybe it would have interrupted the emotional weight of the fights going on? You're telling me that setting up the next season when it already had prior context that warrants that setup is a bad thing? I'm just not allowed to be excited for season 4. Same thing here, just points towards Battle Beast being alive and this Damien Darkblood character coming back. Damn it. Oh, they set up season 4. Oh, God, you idiots. God. They got, you know what? They're right about that. They say at the end of this season, or sorry, the end of this episode, we learned that Rex actually did die. My entire goddamn skeleton. I'm just going to point that out. He blew himself up. There was nothing left. There was not a single molecule left of that man's body. And then when Mark asks what happened to that character, to Rexplode last episode, Robot says he died. He's dead. Did not make it. He gone. He went straight to heaven. They say, "I thought you'd never shut up" leaves Invincible in stasis, with little resolution and only nominal minor developments toward what comes next. I'm pretty sure they just complained 2 paragraphs ago that they were upset that Battle Beast was there, Darkblood was there. They were complaining about setting up the next season, and then 2 paragraphs later, they complained that there wasn't any setup for the next season. They literally say minor developments toward what comes next. Battle Beast being alive is not a minor development. Omni-Man and Alan being out there is not a minor development. Just because it wasn't set up in the finale doesn't mean that just was not set up for the next season. It's hurting my brain. Verdict. It's the first time Invincible has been truly subpar, an especially sour note to end on. This was by far one of the best animated episode of Invincible, in my opinion. Last episode had great animation as well, but this episode in particular had such an enjoyable and lengthy fight, mind you. I like how the one complaint I was waiting for in this article that I was 100% going to agree with was that the animation this season, again, it's not a season review, so I guess I'll digress on that, but the animation wasn't super great this season. But I'm here for the story. I'm not watching Demon Slayer. I'm not expecting some ufotable level animation. I've been watching this show for 3 seasons now. I'm pretty sure I'm expecting what I'm going to be getting on an animation level. But again, that doesn't mean you can't point out that the animation isn't great, because it's not. I will openly admit that, but that wasn't even mentioned here. But again, it's a finale review, not a season review, so I digress. But what a great fight. Probably one of my favorite fight in the entire show. I thought Conquest's voice acting was amazing. I know people have been complaining about that. That is a personal preference. I get that. I personally enjoyed it. I think adding that extra scene with the heart in space was really cool. It told a lot about his character, that emotional moment. Well, I wouldn't say emotional, but the really badass moment. He's like, take this to your grave. Really sick. It gave more to Conquest than what we got in the comics, from what I understand. So, great. IGN says it's a 4 out of 10. It's bad. Invincible Season 3 peters out with a baffling finale centered on a villain we've never met, which is wrong, and a hero's dilemma that's never actually addressed, also wrong. So the 2 major points they make in their thesis statement, their conclusion here, is just wrong. Like, it's not even an opinion, it's just wrong. So yeah, I've seen a few people talk about this on social media. I watched Moist Critical's video on it, but no one ever really said, from what I saw, why it was bad. Just like the review, I mean. And I just wanted to break down, from someone who appreciates storytelling, why they were just wrong. Why this review does such a bad thing for storytellers, for the people behind Invincible, Robert Kirkman, who was so passionate about this story, and IGN just wipes their ass with it for either rage bait or a reviewer who didn't even watch the show. Because, and I know that for a fact, because in the review they said it was a power-up that Eve power up that just came out of nowhere when it did not. We saw that before. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope to enjoy Invincible Season 4 as much as I have Season 3, 2, and 1. I'm really invested in the story and these characters, and I'm personally excited for what's to come in the next few arcs. And if I were to give the finale, so IGN, you can have bad opinions, but I think after this, you just don't deserve to have opinions. At least, just I would say stick to games, but I'm done. See you on the next one.
Subscribe to Zang Helios for some more unfreaking